Hello, everyone. I'm Dees Hinton. I'm the owner of Central Mississippi Real Producers, and we're coming to you today live from Partee Photography Studio in beautiful Pearl, Mississippi.
That's right. It's a pretty day.
How about that? I'd like to give a shout out to KP, Caleb Partee. He is our photographer, videographer with Central Mississippi Real Producers. He actually has his own photography business, and KP does all of our event videos. He does reels. He does podcasts and just anything and whatever we need in the way of video material.
That's right.
KP's the man. KP
He's
he does a great job. He's been working with us for 5 years at Central Mississippi Real Producers, and I highly recommend him to be your guy when you need videos done. KP just recently came back from the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're hoping he doesn't get too famous.
He was down on the field for the halftime
might
show.
Lose him.
There with the Jackson State Band and Usher.
So cool.
Yeah, that's really
Sonic
cool.
Boom.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
They boomed it too.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Hey, I got some people with me today. I'd like to introduce Gingelin Wallace, who's our creative marketing director at Central Mississippi Real Producers, and Gingelin also is the owner of G Designs, which does interior decorating and staging for homes, and works with lots of realtors in that regard. And we've also got with us today as a guest David Ostrander with Keller Williams. And yeah, it's great to have David with us. David is a great realtor and one of our favorites. And we're glad to have you with us today, David. And,
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying that. And I got to ask, do you tell everybody who's in this chair that they're your favorite? I just need to know, honestly.
I think that's the first time.
You know what?
Yes. And you wore Keller Williams red for me today? Come on.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with Valentine's Day.
It happens to be Valentine's Day today, so that was kind of really the reason for the red.
We'll go with
Hey,
that.
whatever you got to say, you know.
I wore Keller Williams red for Valentine's Day today. So, and no, I don't tell everyone that. So
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And let me also say that I'm right in line with you with KP, and not just because I love him as a human being, because he is awesome.
Yeah, it's true.
But also because when I first found out about him, I was looking for a videographer that had a special, like, unique flair on their work, and I was looking for something specific, and nobody else around here had it.
Yeah.
And I found him.
Yeah.
And he had what I was looking for. And I hired him, brought him in, and almost every photography, videography that I've had to do since then has been through KP. So he is
awesome.
That's a secondary, advocacy behind KP. He's awesome.
Yep. Well, sometimes I hesitate in recommending him to a lot of other people because it slows him down.
Yeah, he's already too busy.
So he's so busy now.
Yeah.
He's very busy, but he does a great job.
Yes,
Seriously,
he does. He's awesome.
Yeah. Well, we've got an exciting time. First of all, for those of you that might not be familiar with Real Producers, just a few things about Real Producers. We're everything real estate agents. We celebrate the top producing real estate agents in Central Mississippi area and help connect the top agents with top industry professionals that real estate agents work with. That's it. What we do. We're in the relationship building business, connecting people and building relationships among the top agents and industry professionals. That's what our business plan is. And we do that through our magazines, a monthly magazine featuring top real estate agents in our area. We do that through our
One of our recent ones.
Yes, we do that through our quarterly social networking events where we invite top real estate agents to come together in a nice venue and have some good food and beverage and entertainment and just hang out, shaking hands, hugging necks, and building relationships.
David was at our last one.
Yeah,
I was.
Holiday
Yeah.
social.
Yep. I've been at a few of them.
David's been to several. Yeah. So anyway, that's what we're all about. We're done through we're owned by a company called the N2 Company. Real Producers is a franchise that's in over 130 locations around the country now. It was in about 30 locations when I brought it here 5 years ago now. And it's grown to over 130 locations around the country. And So this is going on all over the country. I wish I could say it was my brainchild that I invented, but I did start it from nothing here in our area 5 years ago. And it's been a great ride so far. And I think it's been successful in a lot of ways in what we do. And that's building bringing people together and building relationships. So again, today we're here to talk to David, learn more about David and his story. And I think David is going to probably have an appearance at some point in time in our magazine coming up. And so, Gingerlin, I'll kick it over to you to get us started. Yeah.
Yeah, we're super excited that you're here. We've been wanting to get you on for a little while.
I'm excited. I'm also a little nervous of what you're going to ask me, though.
No, get ready.
No,
you should be nervous.
You're a little scary, but not that scary.
Just a little. Okay, so what's exciting to us is that not only are you a very successful agent and you have been in the business for a long time, we are going to talk about that. We want to know how you got there and where you are today. But it's also a very unique time for you right now because you are acting as the interim CEO. Did I get it right?
That's right.
At CMR.
That's right.
So that is also something we want to talk to you about. And obviously that's going to be a short-term thing for you. So again, unique season that we get to think about that today. So let's start off though with who is David? Yeah. Tell us about you before you were a realtor, your family, and then kind of how you got into it.
Yeah, I'll try to keep that relatively quick because there's a lot.
Yeah. We've only got,
as most people's stories last, as most people's story go, there's a lot more than what you get to uncover in a podcast or an interview. But the long story short is I came from a divorced family when I was young and moved around a little bit. Started in Clinton, Mississippi, moved to Lafayette, Louisiana, Knoxville, Tennessee. Ultimately landed in Indianola, Mississippi in the Delta.
That's where I was born.
Was it?
Seriously?
I didn't know that. So look, there we go.
Only lived there 2 years.
The metropolis. It's the metropolis of it. It's where all things come together, right? Yeah. But went to high school, Indianola Academy.
Okay.
And graduated, came to Mississippi College, and actually went to MC to play basketball, and then quickly realized that I was not as good as those guys and would prefer to have fun in college. So I did, and my grades showed that for a while, but ended up getting a degree in communication. And so from there, I worked at a fitness facility, ended up getting in the corporate world, running wellness programs for fitness facility. I'm so curious. I was at the club in Brandon.
Okay, all right.
Yep. So I worked there through college. Actually, my story was during that time in college, I would wake up for about 3 years. I would wake up in the morning, do my classes until noon, would drive over to the club and clean the club and the locker rooms for a couple of hours. Then I would drive back to Clinton and do a radio show for a couple hours at night until about 9:30 at night.
A radio show?
Yep, at Star 93.5, which is no longer in existence.
Stop. So you were like the host?
I had a show with another college student. So hopefully
sports related or
no, it was we were just DJs. We played music and had some interim talk and hopefully all of those things have been trashed by now and nobody can find them because there's no telling. It was, I'm sure, awful, but
what year
it was fun.
Are we talking?
I don't want to give that away.
I'm not going to look for your radio, but when were you at Mississippi College?
I got there in 2006 and graduated my victory lap in 2011.
Okay, all right.
So somewhere in there were the years that I had a radio show with a couple of other people. So, so I would do that every day. It was get up, go to class starting at 8, work till 9:30 every night, and then do it all over again. And somehow try to find a place to have a social life, and which was minimal, and then also study. So it was a lot of working more than anything. I eventually gave up the radio show toward the end of my college career to just work over here, and I moved over here. And so this is where my story, everything built me to who I am, but where my story really of being an adult came into play. Sure. My junior year, I believe, of college, second semester, I knew I needed to move to be closer to work because I was going back and forth. It's too much back and forth. And so I found a little trailer in a trailer park in Pearl and rented it. Oh, wow. And so that's where I began. That was my first place on my own, and Got a couple of roommates and rented out the room. So I was basically living for free. That was before I ever knew anything about real estate. I knew how to not pay my note, you know,
Awesome.
I rented it out. And so, but yeah, started in this little, trailer in Pearl and, worked at the gym until I got out of college, got a job in the corporate world and, began to, in the meantime, met who became my girlfriend, who became my wife, while I was living in the trailer, which tells me she loves me, right? Because she knew that I lived there and has seen it through to where we are today. And so I worked a lot, got the job in the corporate world and human resources doing, wellness programs, took another corporate job, traveling the country, teaching about their human resources benefits and all that. And just had this itch to do something on my own. And I didn't know what I was going to do, but I was just unhappy. I was doing really well for being 25 years old and in the positions I was in. But I I wasn't happy. I wasn't satisfied. It was just kind of like,
That wasn't it.
It wasn't it. I was I'd pull in the parking lot miserable every day and I couldn't blame it on my paycheck or what I was doing. It just wasn't there. And so I resigned and did not know what I was going to do. And called my wife and said, I don't have a job. I got to figure this out.
Wow.
And I had I had a buddy who was who was a realtor at the time, but he also had a landscape company. And he said, hey man, do you want to come help me do this company while you figure things out? And I said, sure. So I helped him with his landscape company for about a year. And he said, you need to get your real estate license. And I said, nope. And by the way, he's still a realtor today. And I said, no. I said, I don't want to be just one of the realtors who's jumping in when everybody's becoming a realtor and the whole thing. And he said, and this stuck with me, really was the decision maker for me. He said, David, are you trying to find a job because of the security of a paycheck? And I said, I guess so, you know. By the way, I had a child on the way at this point, my first child. Wow. Nothing like to light a fire under you, you know.
Right, being jobless.
So, yeah.
Have a baby on the way.
And so I said, I guess so. And he said, which one's more secure to you? Having the opportunity to go out and create your own income as you need to and build it as much as you want, but you know that you can find the income and get it, or having somebody at any given point be able to, you walk in the door and they go, hey, your paycheck stops today. Which one's more secure to you? And it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I said, I see. So I went and got my real estate license. And for all those hopefuls out there, I actually failed my real estate test twice. This goes back to me not being a good student, by the way, in my 5th year and all that. But I did the math on what it would take to make sense for me as a realtor. Had no idea. And I thought, look, if I'm terrible at this thing, all I got to do is sell one house to make my money back and I'm okay. So I did that. And then for the first 6 months, I didn't sell anything. And I was going, I got to go find another job. And I did not want to do that. Or I need to make a change. And I'm sure that my former broker, who is one of my dearest friends today, would attest to this. I said, I'm either got to go to another brokerage or I need to get a job. And she said, totally understand. I agree. You're going broke, essentially, you know. Right. And reached out to a buddy of mine at Keller Williams. And he taught me a lot just in a lunch. And my logic was, if he's willing to tell me all this now, how much more would I learn there? So I just went. And as they'd say, the rest is history. I've been there for coming up on 7.5 years at Keller Williams. And so we can get into the leadership talk in a minute, but that's what got me into real estate and learning, you know, from all the brilliant realtors in our community is what got me just being open-minded to learn how to do this is what has gotten me to where I am. Wow. So I love it.
Okay. So yes, you joined Keller Williams as a realtor, kind of got your feet wet, started being successful, and then have stepped into some leadership over there. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So, 2021, I would say, I kind of started to dip my toe into politics a little bit and just enjoyed the conversation. Of course, everybody says there's two things you don't talk about. You know what they are, right? Politics and religion.
Okay.
Right? You don't talk about politics and religion. To me, those are the most important things you can talk about, and so I began to have a real interest in, of course, I had a minor in ministry at Mississippi College too. So I had this interest in the theology and, the religious side of things, but I began to get an interest in politics. And the long story short on that is MAR was working a bill that I, for whatever reason, had an opinion on. Without going into too much detail about it, there were some battles that needed to be fought, and I had an opinion about it. I had a say on it, and I kind of knew what was going on. And so that year, 2021, I was just kind of like in the shadows, kind of having conversations about it.
Sure.
The bill ended up not getting passed. So 2022 came around, and I was hot. I was like, whatever I got to do. And so, it should have passed. Everything pointed to the direction that it was going to, and it didn't. Let me take that back. It passed and then got vetoed. And so, I was pretty hot about that. So 2022 comes around, and I said, I'm just jumping in. If I'm going to be in this, I'm in. And so I stuck my neck out, and MAR brought me onto their executive committee as their treasurer. Okay. And I was able to play a role with a great team. And
what does that look like? Do you apply? I mean, how do you get involved? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So the way that I did it, and they have different. It's the way that I did it was probably abnormal, because I had not been in a lot of leadership positions prior to that. It's like specific to real estate. There's one role that as a realtor that you actually have to apply for, and a nominating committee will come through and nominate you. And it's for, I'm going to mess this up probably, but it's maybe first vice president.
Okay.
So my mindset was, I'm just going to go interview. I have no chance at this, but I'm at least trying.
Sure.
And so I went in and I interviewed, and I didn't get it, but they knew who I was. They knew what I was about at that point. I was able to get a bunch of eyes and ears, and they called me back and they said, would you consider doing treasurer? And I said, not no, but
right.
And they said, why not? And I said, because I've never done that. It's above my pay grade. And they said, we'll teach you. And I said, with much grace and forgiveness along the way, I will do it.
Sure. And
so I took it on, and
this is the Mississippi Association of Realtors.
That's right. This is our state association. And so, so very graciously, I stepped into that role on their executive committee as one of their officers. And it was a year of experience for me, just figuring this out, and what it looked like to be in leadership as a realtor, and the responsibility that comes along with that, and how you're presenting and representing not just around the state, but your local board, your state, and nationally, because we'll go to these national conventions, and you're representing your state. And so so that was my first taste of, and by the way, that year, not because of me, but because we had a great team, did get the bill passed. And so that led me to 2023, which I was hoping to be back with, in all honesty, to be back with the state association.
Sure. So do you serve for a year, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So they all have different terms. Okay. There's a succession plan within the top 3 officers. They're all in line to be the president. Okay. The treasurer is the first one that's on that's on the executive committee that is not in that succession plan.
Okay.
And so I believe technically the treasurer, at least it is for CMR, is a 2-year term. Okay. But oftentimes that person is often going to another position, so it opens it back up for somebody else to do. So, gotcha. then I was asked to come to Central Mississippi Realtors.
Okay.
To go from the state board to our local board. And
so I guess you can't really be on both, or can you?
You can.
You can.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just a lot. You need to know what you're signing up for if you're going to do both, because it's a lot of time.
Gotcha.
By the way, in your spare time, you got to sell real estate.
That's right. I've all in the meantime, I'm trying to maintain an actual business, something that actually pays me. You know.
So you actually made the decision to join the CMR board and step away from the MAR board at the time.
Yeah, to a certain degree.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was brought to my attention that I was being considered for something at Central Mississippi Realtors.
Okay.
I was planning to go back to MAR if they would have me, because I'd had to go back through the nominating committee deal and whatnot.
Okay.
And guess what my response was? Not no, but
you're not saying that in the right way.
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah, no. So
these things you keep saying no to.
I know it just works out. So
no doesn't mean no with you.
No doesn't mean no.
Not always. It really meant no. I can tell you.
You can be convinced.
It just some things changed, and I'll be honest with you. Some people who I had served with at the state level that I highly respect them, and they mean a lot to me. Their opinion, what they say, is very weighty to me. So if just anybody came to me and said, "We want you to do this," it's not hard for me to say no, or whatever the response. These people came and talked to me. I mean, took time, pulled me aside, and had these conversations about how they wanted me to serve in certain places and certain ways. And
I think it's interesting to point out, though, that although you were interested in getting into leadership, you really weren't interested in the specific things you were asked to do, and kind of hesitant about it. Kind of gave in and said, "Okay, I'll do it because y'all want me to." And I think that's interesting to point out, because a lot of times people think they see somebody in a role that they pursued it, they wanted it, and they went after it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
For me, it's a great point. And because for me, it is one of those things that my mind was, I don't have to do this.
Right.
Like, I will do it because people regard me in such a way that they feel like I would be good at it.
Right.
But it was always like, I don't have to do, if this doesn't work out, I'll just go sell real estate.
Right.
You know, and there was no, like, to your point, it was never me pursuing anything because I just needed to be in a role.
Right.
It's never been that for me. It's always been, my natural characteristics tend to cause me to seem to be a leader because I'm an outspoken person and so forth, and just how I do life and is portrayed as being a leader, even without the positions.
Right.
It just has turned out that, even with these positions that I've been presented with, I'm sure I'll do it, if it's presented the right way. But if I don't get it, I'll just go back to selling real estate and I'll be totally fine with that. So I was asked to serve for Central Mississippi Realtors, and my response, as you know, and I said, but then I went back and I started really thinking, the people who are asking me to do this aren't just anybody. These are people who I respect, the association respects, that are very well known. And if they feel like I need to be there, and this is literally what I told them, I said, if I go into this knowing that I have your support, because in these certain situations, things can go awry fast. And I said, if I know you got my back, I'll do it. And they said, we got your back. And so I stepped into the roles, to the role at CMR as the treasurer.
And this was
23.
Okay, so January
1st it's a calendar year for their board. So I think I was brought in November, but the day one is January 1. Okay. So January 1st, 2023, I was no longer with MAR on their executive committee, and I was the treasurer for Central Mississippi. So I went from treasurer to treasurer. Yeah. As the treasurer for Central Mississippi Realtors.
Okay.
So
And that brought you to a very interesting year, right?
Yeah, it brought us, 2023 was just, is a whirlwind in a lot of different ways.
Right.
And there was a lot of things that happened that got us to a place where we are today, which is, we're working with great momentum at CMR. And I don't know if you're leading into CMR at some point, but Central Mississippi Realtors right now is in a really good place. And
let me just interject that, we are Central Mississippi Real Producers.
Yeah, that's right.
And we specifically work with Central Mississippi Realtors. I mean, that is what we do. That's where we get our top producers from that MLS and from that group of realtors. So that is specifically who we work with.
Yeah. Yep. We share the same realtors.
That's right. That's right.
So, and that's one of the things we met about before is getting y'all more involved with the Central Mississippi Realtors. So,
absolutely.
Getting you in front of them. Yeah. And that's one of the main things. There have been a few things that when I took this role, which by the way, I'll go back to say, hopefully I'll remember where I'm leaving off, but when I got into this role, when I took the role as treasurer, I did not know that meant, according to our bylaws.
Right.
Now, somebody may have known this, but I didn't know
They didn't tell you.
They didn't tell me.
That's not why you took the role.
That's not why I took the role. I thought I was going onto a board to kind of advise and help and so forth, but I did not know that our bylaws said that in the vacancy, if the CEO role is left vacant, that the treasurer fills the role. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that the bylaw said that until like 3 or 4 months into it. Right. And I was like, whoa, wait a second,
Somebody set you up. You were like,
somebody set me. Well, nobody knew what was going to transpire.
That's
and so we came in and sure enough, in October of 23, the seat was left vacant.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, I'm driving to the Gulf Coast for MAR's annual convention, and I'm walking through the doors of the Beau Rivage as the interim CEO. And I wasn't just an hour before.
When you left.
Yeah, I wasn't when I left home. And so it was it was really a whirlwind. It was wild.
And that was really not something you had ever planned on. Again, you didn't even know that was something that you would have to do if that position became vacant until later after you took the treasurer position. I thought that was so interesting. We met with David, what was that, a couple weeks ago, and talked a little bit, and you were sharing kind of how you ended up where you are today. And we were like, oh, okay, wow. Again, a lot of people assume when they see somebody in a role that it's something they pursued or they chose or went after. And you did truly kind of end up here. Without intention, willingly, but without intention. So.
Yeah. And it's been a fortunate endeavor because I do feel like, I've been set with the background in human. When you look back in hindsight's 2020, it's wild to think about what you went through that is beneficial to you in the moment.
God, it's just like works those things out.
Like what are the odds that, I've been in human resources, I've run a business, I've run, and I've been a treasurer for the state association. All of a sudden we look up and I'm having to run this association without having any preparation ahead of time, but it's just so fortunate I had a lot of the things that it takes to run the association on my resume already. I didn't apply for this job. It's just happenstance. And so I do remember where I left off. So we did all these things, all of this transpired to where I landed in this role. And there was one of the things, going back to y'all being involved with us, with Central Mississippi Realtors, that I have really made a big focus for as long as I'm here, is to grow our affiliate program. And not just in number, but in strength. Because one of the things that I've found with our affiliates and our relationships with affiliates is we just like most people have this tendency to go, hey, we got an event. Will you come sponsor it for us? Pay to be a member and then come sponsor our event.
And just to be clear, affiliates are bankers, roofers,
anybody who wants to be a member of our association to be to be closely connected with our realtor members.
Right. Very similar to what we do.
Exactly. It's exactly right. But that's what we were doing is brokers do it, associations do it.
Right.
I've met with associations across the country, and they all do it. As needed.
Right.
There are some who do it right and do different programs and things like that. But oftentimes it's just an as needed deal. Mm-hmm. Good word. And so I said, you know what? We got to figure out a way to make our affiliates feel like they want to be a part of us. And so one of my biggest things has been to strengthen not just our affiliate partnerships, but our relationships with people around the community. So our MLS United company that we work closely with, our community connections like Salvation Army and these others that we can work hand in hand with in the community. And then any of our affiliate members that are mortgage lenders or banks or insurance or home inspection, you name it, those people specifically that are paying to be a member of the association, of course we want them to get great value out of it and not just call them to provide lunch for us. You know, we want them to feel like they're getting something out of it. So, so we're really working on ways that we can bring value to them as well. So that's been one of our highlight pieces of growing of the association too.
Well, and I wanted to point out while we're talking about you know, kind of that connection that last year we did a regular piece for several months.
Every month
for CMR.
Mm-hmm.
Was it every month last
every
year?
Month,
okay,
yeah.
I didn't know if we actually did the whole year. So, and that's something that we're planning to continue. You're working with you on trying to get that in there because we think it's important to kind of know what y'all are doing and what y'all are offering and what's going on. And
well, as we've spoken on and off the record, we're here to help the association, the real estate community in whatever way we can. Like I said before, we're here to celebrate real estate agents and promote real estate agents and do whatever we can. And so, if there's a way that we can, what we've done in the past is to do features, whatever CMR would provide the information to us, and we put it in our magazine that would go out to the top agents. And so we're wanting to be involved in whatever way that we can fit in and that makes sense. So to help out. Yeah.
And I'd love for you to speak just a little bit to, okay, so for me as a non-realtor, I'm not a realtor. I've been around real estate. I could be.
Mississippi Realtor Institute plug.
That would probably be a point of conflict for all of my agents that I work for. But I have been around the real estate community and learned so much, and feel like I learn something new every day. But talking to you and understanding, what is the point of an association? Do you have to be a part of it? And then even into secondary memberships where you can be a part of more than one. So talk a little bit about that as a teaching moment for those who may not fully understand. Yeah.
So it is, there's, how much time do we have?
Paraphrase.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to paraphrase, so the big thing right now is, I guess to start off, do you have to be a member?
You're an agent.
Yeah. Well, here's the point of reference, because a lot of people don't know this. A real estate licensee is not necessarily a realtor. Okay. A realtor is a voluntary membership, and it's a trademarked term by the Realtor Association. So just because you're licensed with the Real Estate Commission, if you're not a member of the Realtor Association, you're not a realtor. Okay. You're a real estate salesperson.
You can't actually act.
You can sell, but you don't have a membership to you can't use the word realtor. And you don't have access to to ultimately the MLS, which is, that's what most people default to. That's been a hot topic lately. Many people are following the National Association of Realtors lawsuits that have happened in recent days. That kind of a trickle down effect is a thing that they call decoupling, which means that there are lawsuits that are being considered that say that you shouldn't be required to be a member of an association to be able to have membership to an MLS. That's not gone into effect with us. Central Mississippi Realtors is and has always been and will always be a owner, the largest share owner of our MLS United. That won't change. That's in our agreement of ownership. So as of now, if you're going to join the MLS, you have to be a member of either Central Mississippi Realtors, Northwest Association of Realtors, or the Gulf Coast Association of Realtors. So that being said, you can, and those are the three owners of MLS United, which is our local MLS.
Right.
You can be a member of any of them and have a secondary membership at any of them. You could have a secondary membership I'm going to get this wrong. We've got a lot of local associations. I can't remember. I don't want to say a number and then be quoted wrong, but we've got a lot, and so you could have a secondary membership at any of them, and have your primary membership
what does
in
that
one.
Mean? What
So
primary membership, secondary membership.
Or why would somebody have a secondary membership?
Generally, the intent of it is that you have your primary membership where you do most of your business, which makes sense.
Sure.
Right.
If you want to do code of ethics or continuing education or code of ethics or any of that training, it would be, wise for you to do it where you do business, because you can then come to the association and do all of that stuff. Otherwise, you can do, if you join, like, for example, if I join the Gulf Coast, right, and then do a secondary membership at Central Mississippi Realtors, all of my orientations and training are going to have to be done at the Gulf Coast.
Even if you're a secondary member.
Even if you're a secondary member.
Still have to do all that there.
The primary membership takes care of your orientations and things like that. Now, for example, at Central Mississippi Realtors, if you are a member at Central Mississippi Realtors, we're doing a class there. For example, we've got a class coming up February 27th. Okay. We've got 180 people registered to be at that class. Sweet. So that's my momentum pitch right there. We got a lot of momentum going.
And these are all realtors?
All realtor members. Now, what we
CMR members.
They're all CMR members. Now, here's the thing. You can come if you're not a member, but it's going to cost you a little money. It's free for all our members. Okay. So we do things like that to where it's wise for you to do business where, to be a member where you do most of your business.
Gotcha.
Because of the access to trainings, the access to orientations, the access to all of the things that the Realtor Association provides.
Right. So if you live in Flowood or Madison, you drive 10 minutes.
And you're in Ridgeland at the CMR deal.
You're right there.
As opposed to going to Northwest having a secondary membership, to your question earlier, can be beneficial because, for example, people who live in Clinton, Vicksburg has their own association. So if people are doing business in Clinton and Vicksburg, you may want to have a membership at both just to have access to the MLSs of both and so forth. So it's just a matter of how that plays for you and your business usually.
So you just pay a fee to get a second?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You got to have a letter of good standing from your primary association. It says you're up to speed on everything.
I got you.
But outside of that, then you pay your membership fee.
Yeah.
And realtors are required to do certain trainings and continuing education, right?
Yeah, so that's a good plug. So anybody who's listening, you got to have your code of ethics before the end of this year. It's the new cycle starts over next year. MAR will be offering it 4 times. CMR is going to be offering it 2 times. And it's going to be offered to our members after our general membership meetings. So there are you got to have a certain amount of continuing education by way of MREC, the Mississippi Real Estate Commission. They require a certain amount of continuing education. We provide that. That's what our 180 people are signed up to do is continuing education. So there are certain things that are required. And then there's also just the value side of different, like we did a class Tuesday that we had a lady from the Department of Health come in and talk about septic systems and their inspections and things like that. It's important. It's important for realtors to know that kind of stuff because we have to deal with it. That's right. So it's just providing value to them in different ways like that too.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah. Good.
So what would you say is next for you? Because obviously this is not a permanent position. It's temporary while the association is trying to figure out the process of hiring somebody else and getting the right person in there.
Yep.
So you know that this is not going to be long term. So what's next?
Well, on that note, I will say too that people ask me almost every day where we are in that process. And my honest, genuine answer is I have no idea outside of what's told to me.
Right.
I don't have any say in the search process. There's a search committee who the president has put together and the leadership of CMR, and they're searching for the right person to come in. I'm not on that committee. I don't have the most involvement I've had is I put together a Zoom call for them and got out of it.
Right.
I have no idea except for what's told to me. So
they're working on that.
They're working
not
on
really
that.
Involved in that process.
I'm not involved at all, and intentionally.
Time frame? Is there one?
So their time frame that they gave me was like their drop dead date. They got to have somebody would be June. Last I heard, they're moving ahead of schedule. So it could be March, April, who knows? All I know is what I've told them is a couple things. One, I've told them that I'm going to do my best to make it incredibly difficult for y'all to hire by being really, really good at this.
There you go.
And so I'm doing my best to do that. I'm just doing the best I can, the best I know. And by the way, let me tell you, the members as a whole have been very gracious to me. I mean, I know that I've dropped the ball in certain things. I had to have, I'm running my real estate business and also trying to figure this association thing out. And man, they have just been very, very gracious to me. And so it gave me a whole new respect for our members and as a whole. But
certainly you didn't plan for your year to go that way.
Did not. I mean, I didn't have any idea. Right. I mean, and that's what everybody tends to understand is that, some people there have been members who have thought that I've lobbied for it and they're like, well, he's terrible at this. I'm like, we're looking for somebody, put your application in, but, and that's fine. But I mean, the vast majority have just been very kind and gracious to me in the situation we're in and seem to be very appreciative of it. What's next for me? Who knows? I would have never suspected over the last couple of years that I would been put in the positions that I've been in.
Sure.
I am incredibly grateful that people trust me to be put in these roles. Sure. As I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm also I'm also the central vice president for the Mississippi Association of Realtors Executive Committee. Okay. So once I'm no longer in the position of interim CEO, I'll still be serving as the treasurer for CMR. Okay. I'll also be serving as the central vice president for MAR. Oh, wow. And then I'll be rebuilding my business as a salesperson.
Now, when did you take on that role with the MAR? Because I know we talked before that you were treasurer.
I was the treasurer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so I took on the role for MAR. I mean, it's an annual thing. So they nominated me and chose me at the end of last year.
Okay. So at the beginning of this year,
I became
that position.
That's right.
Are you active in that position with your current position? Are you able to do both? What does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real juggle.
Sure. You don't have anything going on.
You still sell real estate too, don't you?
Yeah, I still sell real estate. Which if I were not the interim, if I were the full-time person, I wouldn't sell real estate. To be honest with you, it has been, in all transparency, it's been a disservice to my clients.
You're talking about as CEO of
as the interim CEO at CMR, and trying to sell.
Right.
It's been a disservice to my clients to not be able to, at least compared to what I'm used to.
Sure.
It has given me a whole new appreciation for people who are dual career agents because I'm like, I don't have any idea how you're servicing clients because I'm doing it, but I just don't feel like I'm doing it real well.
And isn't that a requirement? I know there's a lot of rules and regulations, processes that you have to follow. So if you are the, real CEO that's been elected, you're not allowed to.
So there's
practice.
So there's actually, to my knowledge, there's no real rule on that. That's usually an agreement between the board and like the hiring requirements. There's no real written it's nothing in the bylaws or anything that say you can't. But most people, especially in an association our size, prefer that you not sell and be the CEO.
Okay.
For numerous reasons.
Sure. Yeah.
If I even if they told me I could and I took the role as CEO, which is not going to happen, but even if that
You're not
were
in the running right
I'm
now.
not in the running. But
maybe one day.
If Lord works in mysterious ways, right. I guess. But
go ahead and say no, because if you do,
well, historically, me saying no does not pan out real in my favor.
Not no, but
yeah, exactly. That's kind of been the theme, right? I can just see that now on the YouTube headline of this podcast. Yeah. But the I don't know what we were talking about. What did we say?
About the possibility.
Oh, the possibility of me taking that role.
Yeah. Can't happen right now because you're not eligible for that because of your role and where you work.
I'm eligible. I just wouldn't be able to continue as in those roles on the board.
Gotcha.
I'm eligible, and I've had people ask me if I would multiple times. There's a few different reasons why I don't. The main reason is I don't think that hiring me in that role is, given everything that happened to get me into this role. Just this behind the scenes and the process behind that and everything that happened there, it's not what's best for our membership. Even if I wanted it, because I'm not going to say that if I wanted it, I could have it. I don't have that much confidence in it, but I have had people say, "Will you do it? We would love for you to continue to do it." And I just don't feel that that's right in my spirit. I don't feel that that's the move for our members.
Sure.
And I want, nobody asked me, I'm not involved, but I want our membership to grow in unity. And that's the biggest thing that could happen. Yes, we've got momentum right now, but last year there was some division that happened in some of the things that played out. And I would love nothing more than somebody to come in who can drive unity. And as much as I believe I can do that, because I was part of the whole scenario, I was there the whole time, no matter what I do, I don't think that I'll be able to do that.
Sure.
And so I want somebody, even if it's not me taking that role, I want somebody who can come in and bring, again, CMR's in a good spot. And there's a lot of good going on, and there's a lot of great momentum. And I look at it and go, man, this could be awesome because of just what we've done in 3 months.
Sure.
But there is an area that I don't know that I'll ever be able to penetrate, and that's that unity amongst people that were divided at the end of last year. And I just want somebody who can come do that. And that
everybody can feel like it's kind of on their side and pull
just bring them together.
Yeah.
And as much as that, may, I don't know, it kind of hurts me because that's kind of what I've been known for, like at Keller Williams and other places, bringing people together. And I just think no matter what, I'm not going to be able to do that. And so I'm more than happy to allow somebody else to come in and that I do believe can do that. And I hope they will. I hope the person they hire will come in and do that.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And I also want to say that we did get permission for you to talk to us today, didn't we?
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
So we did. Again, there's rules, there's regulations, there's a process to everything.
Everything we do. Yeah. So
you cannot speak to media unless you have permission from
either the president or the board. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the same thing with the magazine, with Real Producers as a whole, any media source. This could be newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, whatever.
Right.
When I'm speaking as the CEO on behalf of Central Mississippi Realtors, the only person that's allowed to talk to media without permission is the president.
Okay.
And even the CEO has to have permission to talk to media sources. And so, of course, I reached out to our president and said, "Hey, I've been asked to do this. Is that cool? Or want me to?" And he said, "Yeah, man, go ahead." So we got special permission just for real producers today for me to be here.
Well, I don't think we uncovered any deep secrets or anything like that.
No, I mean, look, I wish that there are some parts of me that wish I weren't on the board and part of certain conversations, so I could just give you all the juicy stuff. But
that's right.
But I'm held to a certain level of confidentiality there, and not that there was a whole lot of juiciness there, but I wish I could make it more fun for you. You know,
we're just gonna make people think we talked about a bunch of juicy stuff.
Yeah,
when they tune in. Right?
Yeah, it's all about the headline, right? It's about the headline.
Exactly.
But I will tell you, and I know, there's a lot that a lot that people will never know. We have a great board, and we have a great support system, and a lot of great realtors, and again, we have such good momentum and such a good atmosphere. And even above all that, we have an incredible staff at Central Mississippi Realtors right now that is supporting all of our members. And, we have a lot of good going right now. And that's back to my point of hoping they hire somebody who can continue that. Yeah. I did tell our board, though, if they didn't hear me, you hear me now. I'm the only one who knows how to do this at this point. And so if you hire a CEO that doesn't work out, I'm the only one who knows, and next time it's going to cost you double.
Amen to that.
No, I've been very privileged to be able to serve the realtor community, and I've been able to wear hats that most people will never be able to wear in their entire career, and I'm very grateful for that, and it's allowed me to experience things that most people won't, and it's just been. It's been
great
good
experience. Yeah.
Ultimately, it's gotten me here with y'all. So
that's right.
Otherwise, who knows if I'd have been here or not?
Yeah, you've hit the big time now. So.
I did. Look, that's right.
You're on the VIP list.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I don't take it lightly, and I'll tell you why. Because the most important thing that you've got is time. And so when you ask to spend your time with me, it's important, and I value that. So I appreciate you.
So do we.
Well, same to you, because we certainly know you're wearing a lot of hats right now. So
exactly.
thank you for taking time to talk to us.
Thank you, David, for being here today and for sharing with us and for your service at CMR and
everything you're doing over there.
Kind of an interesting time, and you're helping to navigate the waters to get it back on track and being all it can be. So
yeah, it is. We're in a good place.
Yeah, that's great.
It's awesome.
Gingeline, before we sign off, you want to tell everyone where to hear these podcasts?
Yes, I think we forgot to do that last time, but please go to our YouTube channel and make sure that you subscribe. That is really important. YouTube, Central Mississippi Realtors, it's Real Producer. Sorry. We've been talking about CMR so much.
Central MS Real Producers.
MS Real Producers. Make sure you look that up and subscribe. Also, whatever your podcast platform is, it can be Spotify, it can be Apple. Just go to your podcast platform, look us up, same thing, Central MS Real Producers, and you can hit subscribe. And then that way, anytime we post a new one, you'll be the first to see it. And that helps support us and support our agents and support our partners that come on here. So please do that. And we're excited to bring you another podcast.
Absolutely. And as we sign off, thanks again to KP, Kaylin Partee, in the videography for our podcast today. Does a great job. And it's Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Love you.
Okay.
Love you, man.
Okay.
Love you, man.
He said, okay.